Go live. All right. All right. We back on, y'all. So, welcome. I'm Jackie Robinson. Most of y'all already know who I am. Welcome to my podcast. It's called Mission for Mental Health. I wanted to thank all of you for all the comments and everything that y'all gave me um, in regards to my first podcast last week with my kids. I hope it was informative. I hope you all enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing it. I mean, I think I got the podcast bug. I enjoyed it. I had a good time. So I just wanted to thank all of you for tuning in and subscribing and liking and all that good stuff. But this podcast is basically discussing mental health and different people's journey. So everyone has a story, right? So last week's story, I let my kids come on and share their experience of what it's like to grow up with a sister with mental health. And this week we have someone coming on, Joy, who's going to share her story. So every week I give someone the opportunity to come in and share their experience on how they how they're coping with mental health, and how mental health has affected them, mental health and mental illness. Y'all work with me on this thing because I'm new to it. So do me a favor and subscribe when you come on. um, Hit the like button, share it with your friends. If you all know anyone that, or if you yourself or anyone that may want to be a guest on the show, reach out to me. Give me some likes and some hearts and all that good stuff. Comment with me in the chat box. And yeah, so we're going to have a good time this evening. I'm getting ready to bring on Miss Joy. But before I bring her on, of course, I got to give you guys my disclaimer. Um, so during this podcast, we spend a great deal of time discussing mental health and mental illness and the effects it can have on you and your loved ones. The conversations shared here are the opinions of myself. I am not a professional. So they are my own opinions and the opinions of my guests. I am not a licensed mental health professional, and I do not provide treatment or advice. My intent is not to cause harm or trauma. However, I'm aware that some conversations may trigger some unwanted feelings. Therefore, resources for mental health services are provided to each guest at the conclusion of the show. And any of you that are watching, if you all are in need of any type of services, reach out to me. I got some great people on the team that can help you guys out. All right. So, with no further ado, let me bring on Miss Joy. She's standing by. I'm going to add her in. Hey, Joy.
Hey, hello.
Look, what did I say when I met you the other day? I said, "You bring me joy."
Yes.
Y'all don't talk about me. You know I can't sing, but I sing to her. You bring me joy.
Oh my
Welcome
goodness.
to the show, girl. Welcome to the show.
Thank
How are you this
you.
evening?
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here with you and for us to share, to help
Thank
some
you.
folks out,
Thank you.
honey.
Yes, healing is in the conversation. That's my new. I need to create that hashtag. My mentor who helped me get this podcast going, Ursula, she's probably doing her own podcast right now. Black girls getting their shift together.
Mhm.
Told me that healing is in the conversation, and it resonated with me. And I was like, I'm about to use that from here on out. Healing is in the conversation. So that is what we're do. That's what we do here. We have a good old conversation, y'all. And y'all like that? Y'all like that healing is conversation? Put it
I
in the
love
in
it.
the, in the chat box. Put a little heart or something in there, a little
Yeah.
100%, or put a little something in there in that chat. And let me know if you feeling your girl. Okay. Okay. I can get off task. Y'all know I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I got to learn to be a little bit more professional. They say it is
Hey
what it
girl, you
is.
good.
It is what it is. All right. So Joy, I didn't catch your last name. Did you want to share that with us?
I
Or is
am
Joy
Joy
good enough?
Douglas. Douglas.
Joy Douglas. So welcome to the show, Joy. Um, where did you grow up? Are you from the A, as they say?
No, you know what? I haven't really met too many people from the A. So I am
Right,
not from the
right.
A. I'm originally from Tuskegee, Alabama.
Okay,
Yes,
okay, little
home.
Bama girl. I'm sure I got some Bama folks up on here. What
Yes.
do the Bama folks like to say every time they say they're from Alabama? What's their little line they like to say right after that?
What?
Roll Tide,
Oh,
roll
no.
Tide.
Girl, I don't know nothing about that.
Oh, okay. So you're from Tuskegee.
Yes, I'm from
Awesome, awesome. How
Tuskegee.
long have you been in Atlanta?
I have been in Atlanta since Labor Day 2009.
Okay, okay. Do you
Yes,
ever go back to Tuskegee?
I do. I still have my parents there, my mother and my father.
Yeah.
But I came from I hadn't lived in Tuskegee since 1997.
Okay.
So I moved from Knoxville, Tennessee,
Okay.
where I have my husband. I have 5 children. So
Got
yeah.
your basketball team. That's what they say about me. I got five.
Yes, girl.
Got that basketball team.
Yes, yes, yes,
Good, good,
yes.
good, good.
Yeah.
So what, let me ask you this. So what in Tuskegee or yeah, in Tuskegee, what's your favorite childhood memory?
My favorite childhood memory, I would say being amongst the sorority Alpha Kappa Alpha.
Okay.
We,
Oh Lord, they about to blow me up on here.
I know.
It's going down. It's going down.
Yeah,
Okay.
my mom was very adamant about my sister that's younger than I, being a part of their sisterhood, their organization for young people. And so I had the opportunity to actually be in 2 of their pageants when I was younger.
Right.
And the first pageant my sister and I entered into, we had to decline, we had to leave because my grandfather passed. But I
Mhm.
came back the next year, honey, and I won. Miss
Good.
AKA, Miss Ivy Leaf, as they would call it.
So
So
you were Miss AKA.
Miss AKA,
Okay. Shout out to
yes.
the AKAs. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that I would say that's one of my fondest memories because my mother, evidently, she instilled something in me that will later definitely help me in the long run.
How would your parents describe you as a teenager?
Probably off the track. Off the track.
I know my would.
Yeah. Yes, my mother probably wouldn't say much. My dad probably wouldn't say much either, other than off
Mhm.
the chain. But my sister, oh honey, she would tell it. She
You
would
tell
tell
it
it.
you were off the chain.
Yeah, I was off the
Yeah.
chain.
Okay. I mean, hey, I was off the chain too. And my parents used to say, we when I grew up and I started in law enforcement, they were like, mm, mm, mm. We
Mm.
just wasn't sure about you, girl. We just weren't sure about you, honey.
Girl, I feel you. I feel you. Yeah, I feel
And
you.
so
And
if you go ahead, I'm sorry.
oh no, go ahead. Go ahead, Jane.
So and if you don't mind sharing, what's your current profession? What do you do now?
I do a lot of
I know you
things.
do.
I do a lot of things. I am the owner of JLA Hair Designs, which is a hair salon here in Conyers, Georgia.
Okay. Shout out
I
your business, girl.
Yes, honey, JLA Hair Designs in Conyers on Irish Drive. And I'm a makeup artist, a wardrobe consultant under JLA Hair Designs. I also have Gifts of Joy, which was my first company. And under that particular company, I do motivational speaking. I have a talk show called Gifts of Joy Talk Show on Elon Media and
Mhm.
Productions. And I'm a plus size model.
Yes.
So,
Hey, y'all give her some hand claps in the chat. That's a busy woman right there.
yes,
Give us some
yes.
hand claps in that chat, baby, because that you're how do you manage all of that?
Prayer, honey, some serious prayer. But my husband and my children are very, very supportive of me, and I have a good village, and I'm very thankful for that.
Good. We all need to have a good support system behind us. How
Yes,
old are the kids?
28, 23. You see, I have to think.
Uh,
22, 20, and 16.
28, 23, 20. Wait, I skipped. See, look at me. 28, 22.
22. Okay, 28, 23, 22, 20, and 16.
Woo, 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 woo. You're almost there though.
Yeah, I'm almost
You
there.
almost there. That 16-year-old is almost got that 16-year-old should be quite self-sufficient.
Yes, he is.
You
He's a
boy, you and
great
your
child.
husband about to turn up, turn up,
Child
turn
having
up.
problems. So yeah,
Yes.
yes.
So this podcast talks a lot about mental health. That's what we're here for. And I know you shared some of your story with me. And so what I wanted to ask you was, when did mental health enter your life and how did it come into your life?
Well, I would say evidently I've always dealt with some type of mental health issue, but it wasn't until probably about 8 years ago, 8 or 9 years ago, I found out that I had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder 4 years prior to that. I had been going to doctors and nobody ever told me that I had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, but it took one particular doctor to sit down with me and
Mm-hmm.
explain to me what I had been diagnosed with, um, and what it was all about. And I just, it's like my eyes went open. I said, that's why I do a lot of the things that I do. That's why I think the way that I think. It was that chemical imbalance.
Right.
And so, most of us that deal with any type of mental health, before we are educated on it, we feel like we are by ourselves. We
Right.
feel like nobody understands us, and I'm tripping all the time. And
Right.
so, to have someone to educate me, it really helps. So, about 9 years ago, that's what happened. But it took something transpiring with my daughter. I began to see one of my daughter's behavior, and it
Right.
made me look at myself.
Right. So hold on, we're gonna talk about her in a second.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this. What were you feeling, or how were you behaving, or what was causing you to think something was off?
For one, is because out of the six, out of it's six siblings. I have five siblings, and I would talk to them about things sporadically, never knowing that I talked. The other one didn't know I was talking to the other one, and their reaction to me was shocking. Like, what is going on with you? Why are you thinking like that?
Right.
And so that was the first thing for me, that their conversation was different than my conversation. My thought process was totally different. And then I started noticing that um my behavior was odd to me. It's like knowing better but doing wrong.
Right. Right.
That's how I was doing.
Were they thinking like she just she just bad, or she just,
Rebellious,
yeah,
rebellious.
rebellious, that's the word. She
Yes,
just
definitely
rebellious,
rebellious.
or she just a
Yeah.
live wire? What is it?
And so you got to understand, I'm a preacher's kid.
Hmm.
And my dad was a law enforcement officer,
Mm.
juvenile
Well, you
officer.
was the one.
So,
You was the work. We talked about this the other day. You was the stereotype. You know, they
yes,
say all preachers' kids and all police kids are the worst kids, right?
yeah, yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they say.
Well,
That's
that's
what
what
they
they
say.
say.
Yes,
That's what they
yes.
say. So you're saying that you noticed that. So your siblings are the ones who noticed that something was different,
Different.
and then you started to listen to them. Is that what prompted you to say, let me see what was going on?
I would say it started early on, because one of my older siblings, she tells the story all the time, be like, Joy was just off the chain. She would just say whatever. I would go off. I had a horrible temper.
Okay.
So anything could trigger my temper.
Mm.
And I would just I would go out. I would cuss you out from here to hell.
Mm. Mm-mm.
And didn't I have a thought about it? I would just be so, I was so angry and so bitter, and I could not understand. I thought people was just getting on my nerves, honestly,
Right.
Jackie.
Right.
You know,
Short temper.
so yeah, yeah, quick temper, and I'll be quick to go off on you and would not think anything of it.
Hmm. About how old were you when you started noticing this?
Um, it wasn't until I became a mother, so probably, well, I became a mother at 18. So it wasn't until about 20, 24, 25 after I had gotten married that I
24.
noticed, I
Yeah.
started noticing little things. It wasn't until
Hmm.
years later that it actually hit me, but early on, I started noticing little things.
But prior to 24, 25, no anger issues, just happy go lucky,
Oh
just
no, that's
great.
when I was angry. I was,
Okay.
yeah, I can remember being angry all most of my especially most of my teenage years. And
Hmm.
even though that is kind of like the stereotype that kids
Hmm.
go through their transitions,
Hmm.
but I was suicidal. I began to be suicidal at 16 years
Mm.
old.
Mm.
And so it was that I wasn't heard. I felt like I wasn't heard. And yeah,
A lot of competition though when it's six. Where do you fall in the six group?
I'm the third.
Yeah. So
And
you're a
this,
middle
and
child.
yes, and you
Yeah.
know what they say about the middle child syndrome.
Yeah.
So
Y'all do anything and everything
anything
for
to
attention.
catch. And you know what? And it goes to show it's so many stereotypes, so many stigmas.
Mm-hmm.
But us needing to find out why are these stigmas put on? You know,
Correct.
where do these stigmas come from? So in
Yeah.
my case, I really did have some serious stuff going on
Yeah,
mentally.
absolutely. So
Mhm.
you had mentioned, we talked before about your daughter a little bit, and so what was that relationship with her? How did, I think you mentioned something about her behavior was mirroring you,
Yes.
something like that. Can you talk about
Yes.
that?
Yes. So I think she was about she might have been about 13 or 14, about 14 years old. And I had already seen and known, well, let's put it this way. Just like the stigma was put on me
Uh-huh.
as being the middle daughter, the middle child, the stigma was put on her as well.
Right.
But see, I'm one of those people that's a little different. I
Mm-hmm.
like to get to the root of why things are the way
Mm-hmm.
that they are. So I
Mm-hmm.
believe God began to open up my eyes to see what was going on with my daughter, and to know that no, she don't have to be labeled. Something
Right.
is really going on
Right.
with her.
Right.
So she began to. She's always been that child that just said it how it was. Whatever she thought, that's what
Right.
she said. Whatever
Right.
she did is what she did, and she didn't give a rat's behind what you thought about it.
Right.
So she already had that stigma as being that rebellious child, just like her mother did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So about 14 years old, 14, 15 years old, I began to actually notice some of her behaviors were the behaviors that I had.
Right.
So that's how I was able to identify with her, the depression, the running away. I did all that,
Mm-hmm.
and wanted to get in her head to see where she was, but God allowed me to be able to go back to my own childhood and my
Mm.
own teenage years to
Mm.
see you. She thinks just like you think,
Mm-hmm.
and so I did not want her to be by herself because us growing up in the era that we grew up in, whatever goes on at home, stay at home. You
Right.
don't ask no
Absolutely.
questions. You
What
don't
happens in our
tell
house, do
nothing.
what?
Yes, whatever goes on in this house, stay in this house. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. I'm sure some of our folks on here on this stream can relate to that. Can y'all relate to some of that? What happens in our house stays in our house. How many
yeah.
times have we heard that one?
And that has created so much bondage.
Absolutely. Look at us trying to get out of it now,
Yeah,
and especially when you have older parents who don't really, they still believe that.
right,
Y'all, they're over here telling all our business.
right,
We out here
girl.
telling all our business. We out here telling all our business. So, what, if you don't mind asking or sharing, what was the diagnosis?
So the diagnosis for my daughter or the diagnosis for me?
Both.
So I've been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and manic
Hmm.
depression.
Hmm.
And my daughter has been diagnosed with manic depression, PTSD.
Mm.
I'm not one. She's an adult now, so I'm not 100% if she's been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. But she hopefully she's watching and she can she can let us know. But I do know that she did discover that she had some mental some chemical imbalances as well.
Right, right, right. It's funny because when people talk about bipolar disorder, or they don't know what it looks like. They
Mm-hmm.
think that um, bipolar disorder, people use it loosely.
Yes, too
Oh, they
loose.
just there you go, acting all bipolar,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and they use it real loosely, not really understanding what it is. You know
Right.
what I mean? And it's a serious illness. My daughter has the same diagnosis, bipolar. She has bipolar one, but she has the mania side.
Okay.
So yeah, but the mania side and the depressive side, those can have serious effects, because sometimes some people get in such a depression that it's hard for them to come out, and they start to feel suicidal. And I heard you mention that you felt suicidal at one point. How were you able to overcome that, or cope with that and handle that? And plus, you have a whole family over there. You got a husband and 5 kids
Yeah.
that need their mama. Husband needs his wife, but my wife is depressed. How do you work through that? Matter of fact, two-part question: how does your husband work through that?
It has not been easy, because when you have a partner that does not understand mental illness, that's challenging.
Right, what does he think
Um,
it is?
I don't know what he think it is now.
Yeah.
I don't know what he thinks it is. I know in the beginning when I found out about the the diagnosis, I pulled up some information and I sent it to my husband and my children for them
Right.
to read on it. And I can remember a situation where I was in an episode, and I remember my husband saying to me, "I don't think you're bipolar." And I looked at him, and I think my look probably allowed him not to say anything else.
Right.
Because if you don't understand, and he was saying that because he felt like, oh, you know what you're doing.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
and you know what? I want to go back to when you were saying about people not people using bipolar loosely.
Yes.
The information, the education that was given to me by this doctor, I am forever thankful to him, because I think I would still be in the dark and still be struggling more than what I struggle with now if I had not been
Mhm.
educated.
Educated,
So,
absolutely.
from what it was explained to me is it is a chemical imbalance. And so you even mentioned that your daughter deals with the mania. So I deal with the mania and the depression.
Right.
And so the way he explained it to me is that I have my mania episodes, I have my depressed episodes, but there's no in between, there's no middle.
Hmm.
And so where other people that are not bipolar deal with bipolar disorder, they can be maybe 1,000 and they can calm themselves down and
Right.
they have a median.
Right.
But when I come out of the mania from the highs, I go straight down to the lows.
They call that mixed episodes, correct?
Yes, mixed episodes. And
Hmm.
it's creepy. It's scary to me. Even here it is the age that I am, and I've been dealing with this for a long time. But
Hmm.
I can tell when I'm going into those episodes now because of
Right.
therapy. So learning how to identify when I'm in a
Right.
mania episode and when I'm going into a depression. So that's pretty much how I cope, and how I get through things is because of therapy, because of the medications that I've been
Right.
prescribed. I was so against medications until I started noticing the
Right.
different highs and the lows,
Right.
and I said, "Oh no, we got to get some help. We got to get some help."
Can you give an example of what a high was like?
Yes. So I want everybody to understand. I still deal with this. This is something that might not ever go away. So I still
Correct.
have my mania and I still have my depressed episodes. One of my manias could look like, whew, I'm gonna get some calls about this one.
Well,
One of my,
Angel already said yes, she would even cuss you out in high school.
all right, Angel, I gotta still do your hair. One of my manias could be I go and buy something extravagant. I go on a tangent of just shopping excessively,
Mm.
whether I have the money or not,
Mhm.
whether my expenses that are necessary are taken care of or not.
Mm.
And I know we're gonna get some comments about that one because some husbands
Absolutely.
are gonna be like, "Oh, my wife, bipolar," you know. But no, but the difference is that it's a rush.
It feels good.
It feels
The
good.
dopamine's kicking in.
Yes, that
Yeah,
challenge. Also, a mania for me is being in certain relationships, certain situations. Oh Lord, I know, but um, and and it's hard to decipher sometimes.
correct.
But once I come out of the mania, it can last. It can last a day. It can last 2 weeks. It can last months.
Jesus.
But it will hit. I hit rock bottom. So I am literally high like an airplane. Like you would think I was on drugs.
Mm.
And then when it hits hard because
Mm.
now my thought process is you spent all that
All this
money
money.
or you have connected with this person and you can't get rid of them, or you have been in this situation and you don't even know how you got in it and you can't
Yes.
get out of it.
Can't get out of it.
So it is very challenging, very, very challenging.
Mm. Then you turn around and beat yourself up for doing everything that you
Doing
did.
everything. Yeah. Having
Jesus.
those regrets. And I've had to learn, Jackie, in this journey, I cannot live in regrets. So I've had to create a balance for myself.
Correct.
Because I would beat myself up all day long, all night. I wouldn't didn't want to get out the bed. I didn't want to go anywhere. Didn't want to fix myself up. And
Yeah.
most people that know me know that if I'm not fixed up, something is wrong.
Something's wrong.
Yeah, because that's a part of
Mhm.
my business. That's a part of who I am.
Mhm.
The clothes don't make me, but I make the clothes and the makeup and all that. So that's a part of joy. And I don't do
Yes.
that for other people. I do that for me because
Yes.
that's what keeps me going.
Yes. So, with your daughter, was she experiencing the same types of things?
So yes, I did not notice the mania until a few years ago. No, maybe a year or so ago. My grandbaby is almost 2. So maybe a couple of years ago is when I noticed the mania, but she dealt with more PTSD and more depression than
Mhm.
anything.
Mhm.
She just was always so angry, like she was
Mhm.
hurting. I could feel,
Mhm.
even now to this day, I could feel her hurt. I could feel her pain. She's been through some traumatic situations,
Correct.
but by the grace of God, I've been able to get her the help that she's needed. But I
Mhm.
do have to remind her sometimes that it's if you want the help, you have. I mean, if you got to get help, you got to want the help to receive it. So,
Absolutely.
we all have gone through things and we all deal with things differently. That's the differences as well with those of us that deal
Mhm.
with mental disorders. Because
Mhm.
I can go through the same thing as somebody that doesn't have bipolar, but my outcome could be totally different
Absolutely.
because of how I
Absolutely.
look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So both of you are using therapy, medication. Have you seen a change?
Yes. Yes. Um, my daughter is still pretty, she's not new to therapy, but she is riding that wave, as I would say, like I did, in and out of therapy. And so,
Yeah,
but I do see the difference. I know the difference when she's getting therapy and when she's on her medication. She doesn't
correct.
probably think I know the difference, but I know the difference because that's like me looking at myself. When I
Correct.
decide to drink and I don't take my medication, I notice the difference. I notice
Absolutely.
the difference.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Do you think that over time she'll be more receptive to the therapy?
I
I
believe.
heard you mention she has a 2-year-old, she has a baby
Yes, she has a
over
yeah, almost 2-year old. Yeah, I
Yeah.
believe because my children becoming a mother at 18 without even knowing about my diagnosis, I believe that's what God used to save me, to help me.
Mm.
Um, and my daughter's a little different with that, but she has some of the same, sentiments to be able to say, I chose to bring this baby into this world because I believe it was going to help me.
Absolutely.
She's an awesome mother. She loves her daughter.
Yeah.
I just try to remind her you can't be there for her if you're not there for yourself.
Young people feel that, well, old people do too, feel that, they don't need it. I don't need all that. And they're also in this, they kind of got a plus and a minus with them because the benefit for them is they're in the era of where more people are talking about mental health and accepting mental
Mm-hmm.
health versus
Right,
our generation where it was like taboo. We don't talk
right,
about that. No, 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 no.
right.
We don't do that. But their generation has a little bit more acceptance, but it's still a stigma there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I know it's challenging with social media and their new world. That's their new world. All that social media, has that affected you all? Affected you in any kind of way? Looking at social media and just stuff that people say about mental health on social media.
Well, honey, to be honest with you, I'm hardly on social media. I can't stand it. I only use it for business, to be honest with you.
Right,
And I might see a few posts and I might repost or something like that. But I don't I don't really get into it like my children do.
right.
And to be honest with you, I've had to tell my daughter that deals with the mental disorders as well, stay your behind off of there
Yes, I
because
call it the book of all faces because everyone
it's
is fake on
ridiculous.
it's fake. It's not real.
It's
Some,
not real.
they people, I won't say that. I'm sorry, Facebook folks and Instagram folks. I like it too. But one thing about social media is people put things on there that they want people to know. It's
Mm-hmm.
different if you just had a camera in your house and it's just rolling live all day long
Right,
and really, really watching what's going
right.
on. Then we might say, oh, wow, okay, okay. But people
Mm-hmm.
only put things on there that they want us to know. So you have to be careful with mental health, especially with social media and mental health, especially, our younger people, our older people too, but our younger people, because they get so involved
Right.
in TikTok and Instagram and things like that. And you can watch people and watch their lives. Here we go. Wait a minute, right here. Watch their lives
Right.
that they're only wanting us to see. They
Right.
didn't they don't they didn't show us that they man went upside their head last night. They didn't show us
Right.
that part. They showed
Right.
us that uh her and her man just went on vacation. That's what
Uh-huh.
we saw. We saw the
Right.
trips. We saw the pictures from the trip, but we
Right.
didn't see when he busted her head when they got home.
Right.
So
Right.
you can't they can't feed too much into it. Let me ask you this. We're gonna shift just a tad bit, but what's the most important thing that you've learned about mental health?
To embrace it.
Hmm.
To embrace it.
Hmm.
When I have the opportunity to be able to speak to different audiences, I tell them I have bipolar disorder, but it does not have me.
Absolutely.
And that came with therapy, with medication, with learning coping skills, but most of all, with me embracing that this is a part of who I am. And it's okay. It gives me answers to things that I struggled with for years.
Yes.
So to
Now
be
you
able
know
to,
why, as Angel said, you was fighting in school.
yes,
Cussing folks out of school.
honey, it helped. It opened up my eyes. It opened up my eyes. And like I said earlier, I still struggle. I still have
Yes.
struggles because
Yes.
even the doctor that explained the diagnosis to me, I asked him, "Am I going to always deal with this? Am I going to always have to take medications?" He said, "It's up to you.
Yes.
It's up to you." And so I believe that me embracing it, Jackie, honey, it broke some bondages. It tore down some walls where I don't care who you are. I
Yes.
can, instead of me cussing you out, I'm going to motivate you. Go get you
Yes.
some help. Go get you some help.
Absolutely. 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 You have to learn to embrace, I share this, I tell this to people all the time. When I give them an analogy of mental health, and
Mhm.
I say, if you go to the doctor today because you feeling bad, like you seeing spots and you
Mhm.
urinating all the time and you're feeling real bad and you don't know why, and you go to the doctor and you don't know nothing about this doctor's credentials or where they went to school, or you
Right.
don't know none of that stuff. You just know that they got doctor in front of their name, and
Mhm.
they run a test and they say, oh, you're diabetic and you're going to have to give yourself a shot of insulin every day for the rest of your life. Boy, you'll take that insulin and stick yourself and get folks to stick you and prick your
Yes.
finger, and you'll do all that stuff. If this doctor tells you, oh, you got diabetes, you won't even go get a second opinion or nothing. You
Mm-mm.
just take their word and run with it
Right.
because they saying this is what you need to make you feel better. But as soon as it's the same profession, got doctor in front of their name, MD at the end,
Mhm.
same profession, and they tell you, oh, you got a little chemical imbalance in your brain, and we can give you a little something, little abilify or a little something to get you right.
Right.
Then you like, oh no, oh no,
Right.
oh no, no,
Right.
no, oh no, oh
Hmm.
no.
I'm
So
not crazy.
what's the
I'm
difference?
right.
What's the difference?
That's the I'm not crazy, or I'll pray on it.
I'll pray on it.
What about that?
I,
What about that insulin? You better
yeah,
pray on that
you have to pray on
insulin.
that insulin. You went home quickly. It was like, let me stick myself. Cause
Right.
baby, I can't take all this that's drinking all this water and peeing all day long. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Let me go
Right.
on and stick myself with this juice so I can
Right.
live. But once a doctor tells you something is wrong with your brain, it's like, oh no,
Yeah.
oh no. And it could be the best doctor in the world telling you that. And you're
Right.
like,
Right.
oh no. And also learned that it's not a black, white, Asian, Mexican. It's like all of us thing. It's
Yeah.
something about that stigma that we just don't want to accept. And
Acknowledge.
so
Yeah.
one thing, like I said before, uh healing is in the conversation. And
Mhm.
people need to see that bipolar disorder looks all kind of ways.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
sure when people logged on today and they saw you, they know that you're here to talk about something with mental health, but as
Mhm.
far as they know, you could have been the therapist that I'm gonna have
Right.
on. They
Right.
don't know. They didn't know what you were until I told them what you were.
Mhm.
There's no, there's no model for. There's no poster board.
For support. Right. For mental
Absolutely,
health. Yeah.
there's no poster board. Let me ask you this: if you can do anything to improve mental health care, what would it be?
Continue to tell my story. Continue to tell my story and encourage others. Because, like you said, Jackie, healing is in the conversation. The more I talk about mental health, the more healing I experience for myself. Um, the more I open up to share with people, whether they sit in my chair or they come up to me, at a conference or randomly, the, that is healing. And they'll ask, girl, I didn't even know you dealt with that. Or, girl, you don't look like what you've been through. And sometimes I have to tell them, I don't look like what I'm going through right now.
Oh,
So
oh,
it is, the struggle is real. You can't look at somebody and tell that they have diabetes.
no, you
You
cannot.
can't look at somebody and tell they have high blood
High
pressure.
blood pressure, right.
None of that. You can't even look at somebody and tell that they have cancer.
Exactly.
So the fact that
Exactly.
our conditions are no, it's no respect of persons. It does not matter who you are. And I had a friend to tell me a few years ago. He said, I think everybody got a little chemical imbalance.
Got a little something going on, right?
Yeah, because we all have been, he was like, if you've been living long enough, we all have gone through some things that have traumatized us, and
Mhm.
we have not embraced them. We have not dealt with them.
Yeah.
So for me to answer your question, I will continue to speak. I will, as God open up the door for me, I will continue to speak, because the world that we live in, especially because of social media, there is a stigma. that
Mhm.
I shouldn't look like what I'm going through or what I have been through.
Right.
I should look beat down.
Yeah.
But that's not the case. I'm here to give hope to somebody that
Yeah.
just because you deal with bipolar, just because you deal with schizophrenia, just because you deal with manic episodes and depression, does
Yeah.
not mean that you have to fight yourself. We can't keep fighting, because that's what I was doing for a long time. I
Yeah.
was fighting the truth.
You
That's why
were
I'm
your
trying to
own worst
embrace.
enemy.
Yes. Oh, I was my own girl. I
You were
would
your
beat
own worst
myself up
enemy.
from the inside out.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I took the stigma off of myself. I took the stigma off of myself, and then the religious part of it, I took it
Yeah.
off.
Talk about that a little bit too.
Honey, I'm a PK, so I done seen it all when it comes to religion. Um, but because of my mother and my father, um, we were the prayers prayed over us was not, especially by my mother, was for us not to get caught up in the things of this world, literally.
Right.
So not even to take on the mind of religion. And years ago, it's been a few years ago, that's how I knew something was off too, Jackie, because of the religious aspect of it.
Mm.
Beating me up with the Bible. Have you
Mm.
read the Bible? Have you read
Mm.
those scriptures that you quoting
Mm.
to me? Do you understand the significance? Do you understand the stories that come behind those scriptures?
Right.
I'm not going through what they were going through. I'm not dealing with what they were dealing with. This is
Yes.
me. This is what's going on with me. So talk one on one to me instead of talking religion to me. What I
Oh,
cannot do, what I should not look like. What about what I'm going through now? I
right.
need some help with what I'm going through now. And
Right.
so God began to show me, take the blinders off of your eyes, Joy. It is not about religion. It is about a relationship with me. That's how you're going to get through this mental health
Mm.
crisis.
Mm.
That's how you can embrace where you are. It's
Yes.
about having a relationship with the one that created you. So I had to take all the blinders off, Jackie. I was
Yes.
like, I grew up feeling like being depressed was definitely a sin. That's not something you even talked about. The first suicidal attempt that I had, I was 16 years old. And I was told by my father, bless his heart, told by my father, laying up in that hospital bed, you're going to hell if you kill yourself.
Mm.
Can you imagine how long I dealt with that?
Jesus.
I dealt with that from the time I was 16 years old until I was about 35.
Oh, that's a lot of years.
That's a long time.
That's a lot of years.
A long time to be in bondage. I was in
Yes.
such bondage. And what I've learned, suicidal thoughts do not come about because we want to let necessarily hurt ourselves.
Right.
It comes about because we want to numb the pain. We want those thoughts to go away. We want things to be balanced, just like the doctor wants us to be balanced. We
Right.
desire that for ourselves, but you get so tired, so sick and tired, and so down on yourself. It's like I just want to escape from what I'm feeling, what I'm dealing with.
Mm. Jesus.
So I try to tell people, don't be judgmental towards people that are dealing with suicide and dealing with mental disorders.
Right.
We have things going on just like you have things going on. We just trying to work them out
Yeah,
the
and
best way that we
the
can.
best way that you can, especially if you're not seeking any treatment for it.
Right.
How do you feel about the mental health care system that we have in Georgia?
We need a little help.
A little,
We need a lot of help. We need a lot of help.
a
I
little.
I,
Yeah.
I really believe that it needs to be recognized just as much as healthcare, regular healthcare is.
Yeah.
Because honestly, Jackie, if we can't take care of that mental, how we gonna know to go to the doctor if we peeing all day long? How we gonna know to go to the doctor if our blood pressure is high? You gotta be mentally sound to even recognize that something is going on with your body.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was looking at some of the comments and I saw Ladybug Letha Love. She put suit SI sometimes comes from a cry for help.
Yes.
Suicidal thoughts come from a from Cries from Help. Michelle Jackson said, mental health is a part of the whole health. The
Yes.
stigma needs to be removed so that people can continue to progress.
Yes.
Michelle also said, you, my sister, are a beautiful example of strength and overcoming. Continue to heal and encourage. I love you, girl.
Oh
Do you know Michelle?
no,
I don't know who.
Michelle.
I
Michelle
have to
Jackson.
think of who
I
that
yes,
is.
yes, yes. It is. I had to look at the last name.
Michelle. Ladybug Letha Love said suicidal ideation.
Mm,
Yeah, she's talking about that. It sometimes is a cry for help, which is so true.
yeah,
Um, our healthcare system, our mental health care system, is failing our people. I
yeah,
believe
yeah,
more needs to be done. It shouldn't have to. They did just pass Senate Bill 1013, where they are saying that they are going to treat mental health as part of in any other illness that can get covered by health insurance. But
right.
that's something that we'd have to see. That bill is like 75 pages long, and I haven't had a chance to read it yet. And the writing is really, really small. Haven't had a chance to haven't had a chance to read it just yet. And I'm hoping that eventually we'll see some changes in it. It's just sad because it's treated as if it's nothing.
Yeah,
These people
yeah,
people are left with nothing,
nothing
and they
until
feel,
something happens.
and it has to, sometimes it has to happen more than one
One
time.
time, yeah,
You know what I mean? And it can just be so sad. Iwana says we have to be willing to deal with mental health as a whole. It has been something we kept a secret. Absolutely.
it's so true. So
Absolutely.
true.
Yeah, and that's why I'm doing this podcast, because I feel the healing is in the conversation. We have to stop keeping this a secret.
Mhm.
All of our families got somebody that got
You know
something going on.
Yes.
Or they're just a step away from it. They're
Mm-hmm.
just one incident away
Mm-hmm.
from a diagnosis. One incident away. Anything can trigger. Post traumatic stress disorder is something very serious. Anything can trigger that and put you in a hospital, and
Yeah.
your whole life is flipped upside down and you
Upside
don't know
down,
why,
right,
because
right.
you've been taking in taking in so much stuff till finally something triggers it. And we're all one step away. You know how they say we're one paycheck away from being homeless.
Homeless, yeah.
Well,
What's up?
some of y'all are. Now, kid, me too.
No, you go crazy.
Me too. So what do you think make mental health better in our state? What
Repeat
are
that
some of
again,
the
because you went out.
what do you think that what do you think can be done to make mental health better in our state? Make it maybe more
Um,
accessible, or what do you think can be done to make it just a tad bit better for people?
as far as this, as far as better in our state, I would say definitely people doing what you're doing, going, fighting for, um, to have results because of things that we have experienced ourselves, not wanting others to experience those things.
Mhm.
Um, so definitely fighting for what we believe is necessary, and only those that have experienced mental health situations, whether it's with ourselves or with loved ones, can do the fighting, because we're the only ones that understand.
Yeah.
And definitely continue to be able to bring more awareness. When I look at some of the things, the times I do look at the news, because I try to stay the heck away from it. The times that I've seen things on the news and to hear about this
Oh
shooting and that shooting, and they're
boy.
getting younger and younger, I'm like, there are some things there that are going on in the homes that people still are not talking about. So the stigma is not just from back in the 80s and the 70s and the 60s. The stigma is still in 2022,
Yes.
that parents are not wanting to address, that my child Johnny has a little issue with anger,
Right.
or Johnny has a little issue with sneaking out the house.
Right.
If we address those things in the home, It starts with us in the home. We address those things and become more aware ourselves of what
Yeah.
can possibly go on with our children, so that we can grab those things and get hold of those things before they become adults, when
Right.
they're actually out in society in the world
Look,
themselves.
instead of beating them, because that's what we typically do,
Yeah,
right?
honey, I had to stop the beatings a long time ago.
We look,
I
we
was,
over here beating them. We
yeah,
it is something going on. Let
yeah.
me ask you this. We're gonna wrap up real soon. We got about 10 more
Oh,
minutes left. I know. Isn't this thing fun? I'm
yes,
loving this
girl, I love
podcast thing. I'm just loving this thing. I got the podcast bug, y'all.
it.
What's one piece of advice you can share with our listeners?
I would say, you know, the saying, keep God first, that's not a cliche. Definitely keep God first. If you don't have a relationship with Him, get one, because honestly, that's the only way I can make it. I deal with things just like everybody else. The difference is how I look at things. I choose to look at the glass as half full versus half empty anymore.
Hmm.
Instead of me becoming angry so quick, being so quick to go off, I sit back and I analyze. So I believe, because of my relationship with God and me taking the blinders off and the stigma off of being religious, but
Right.
to actually
Yeah.
be real with
100.
myself,
Hmm.
understand, get to know myself, know that I am a human being that is flawed, but I am okay. I'm okay. When I'm in those highs, I'm okay. When I'm in those lows, I'm okay. It's a part of
Hmm.
my journey. And so being able to embrace who you are, all of you. Don't try to take a piece out over a piece from over here, a piece from over there, and like, oh, I'm just all messed up. No. I got the bipolar is there. That's just a part of that's a part of
Part of
joy.
your that's just
It's a
it's
part of
just
my
like if it
journey.
was diabetes. It's just
Yes, honey, it's a part of my journey, but I don't
there.
let it get the best of
Oh,
me. I embrace
yes.
it. I embrace it because it's a part of joy. And I'm okay with that. And whoever don't like it when you embrace who you are, they don't need to be in your life
Hmm.
anyway. You know, you got to take
Hmm.
all or nothing. So the biggest thing is definitely keeping God first, establish a relationship with Him so you can come to find out who you are and what you are all
Yes.
about, and
Yes.
embrace what you find out and enjoy
Yes.
it.
Yes. Yes. Um, lastly, is there any, well, not lastly, but
Okay.
on this little part right here, is there any question you wish I'd asked you?
No, because I didn't even know what the questions you were going to ask. um,
Is it something I forgot?
no, because you asked some good questions, Jackie.
Thank you. Okay, I'm loving
Girl.
this thing. I'm trying. I am
Yes,
trying.
girl.
I am loving this. I'm loving this podcast thing. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying, even when I had my kids on last week. Now that I've known them their whole life, I
Uh-huh.
brought them here, but I
Right.
learned some things about them that I didn't even know. I didn't realize how resilient they were, and I didn't realize how much they're like me. I had no
Right.
idea. I used to say all the time, "Oh, none of my kids act like me," but I learned
Uh-huh.
last week that they do. So I always want to make sure I ask people if there was something that I forgot to ask.
I think because we kind of touched on a little bit of everything, one way or
Okay.
the other. So,
Okay. And then I always want to end like on a lighter note because this topic can be extremely heavy.
yeah.
I'm sure there are people watching the stream and who may watch it later on or listen to it on Anchor FM later
Mm-hmm.
on that this can affect you in some kind of way. So I always want to let people know that I do have resources available if you're in need of them. I know you got your stuff in check already, so you're good. But I have some lighter note questions. You
Okay.
ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
What's your favorite food?
Girl, macaroni and cheese. And I just found out I'm not supposed to eat cheese. I know, girl.
Who makes the best macaroni and cheese in the family?
My daughter, because she learned
Okay.
from me.
All right. She got that Tuskegee macaroni cheese. You know they do it down different in Bama, right? That's what my dad's family, that's where they're from. They're from Alabama, not Tuskegee. They are from Tuscumbia, Alabama, which is near Florence and Muscle Shoals. Yes, in the country. It's in the country. They used to
Okay,
send me
I've
out
heard of
there every
Florence
year.
and Moses.
Yeah, it's 45 minutes from Huntsville.
Oh wow.
Let me see. I think Letha had a question. Do you have any information about mental health and mental illness that will enlighten the subject?
Okay, do you have any information about
Letha, you
mental
don't have to
health?
re-ask me that question. That will
Okay.
enlighten the subject. We'll come back to her. See
Okay.
if she can change it up a little bit.
Okay.
Um, what song do always get stuck in your head? If you hear it once, you're like, darn, this the song has been in my head all day long.
Girl, open up the window. Open up the door. What is it, girl, by Bruno Mars? It's Silk
Oh,
Sonic.
I'm gonna leave the door
The door open. Yeah, I'm
open.
talking about open up the
I'm
door.
gonna leave the door
So get stuck.
open.
That song gets stuck.
That
Jackie,
one
it's like
does. Like when it comes
all
on, you hear it and it stays in your head all day
yes,
long.
yes, girl. I'm gonna leave the door open. Now it's gonna be in my head. All night.
If you had 10 times the budget you have now, what would you spend it on?
Moving my mother and my father from Tuskegee.
From Tuskegee. Girl,
From
they would probably
Tuskegee.
they'd have to hurt you if you moved
I
them out of
know, cause
Tuskegee.
they ain't going nowhere. But
Mhm.
my oldest sister had a idea years ago, and I think I understand the idea now. It was to buy some land and for my whole family to live on it.
One more question for you. What's I had two questions. I'm just trying to decide which one I like better. What's giving you hope right now?
The fact that I'm here.
Being that you have this diagnosis of bipolar disorder, um, Letha, she talked about the symptoms and all that earlier. I'd have to go back and share it with you again. But with everything that you have going on, you're married, you have 5 kids, you got grandkids, and you have this diagnosis, and it's a serious diagnosis. Um, and you're managing it and everything. What is giving you hope right now?
The fact that I'm still here. That I'm
So
still here. Yeah.
awesome,
I
awesome.
never thought that I would live past 21 years old.
And look at
And
you now, good and grown. Got 21
good
year
and
old
grown. I
yourself.
know. I'm good and grown. And so the fact that I'm still here, I really try to live each day as though it's my last.
Absolutely. We all should, right?
Yeah.
Being that we don't know when the last one is going to be. He don't tell us that part.
No, we don't know when we get here. We don't know when we're gonna leave.
No.
We don't even know the middle. We just go with the flow.
We just go with the flow with all this stuff in the midst of it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad that you made it past 21.
Yes.
I'm glad that thank
Oh,
you to Angel for connecting us.
yes. I love
Thank
you,
you.
Angel.
I know Angel did that.
Yes.
Also thank you for your last minute yes. Thank you for your last minute yes. I did not have a guest this week, and I was
Wow.
sort of kind of panicking a little bit. And so thank you for your last minute yes. I
You're so
so
welcome.
appreciate it. I'm hoping that you all were able to learn some things about bipolar disorder and to understand that bipolar doesn't come in any type of package. It can come any kind of way. Look at the screen with she got Chanel pictures in the back. She got a hair fly on the top. She got a nail. She got her face hooked up. She bad, y'all. She bad. So it doesn't have a poster. There's no poster board for it. Even with her daughter, she had so her daughter, her daughter may be on the stream, but even with her daughter is functioning. She has a daughter. She's understanding what she has going on. She's young and she's coping at a young age. So this bipolar disorder is real, and so I just wanted you all to get glimpse of what it can look like, how pretty it can look, how successful it can look, how it can look. It doesn't have to look any kind of way. So if you all can give my guest Joy a round of applause, put some claps, put some
Oh,
hand
thank
claps in that chat
you.
for me. I would
Thank you
so
so
greatly appreciate it. It is now 9 o'clock. I told you guys I will not hold you like church did back in the day for 2 or 3 hours. I could, but I'm not gonna do y'all like that. I'm gonna keep it to that 1 hour, like I said. Thank you guys for watching. I am so looking forward to next week. Next week's guest is Iwana Richardson. You all are going to love her and love her story. She has an awesome, awesome story to tell, with her, how mental health has come into her and her family's lives and what they're doing to cope with it. And I hope you all can learn something. Share. Okay, hold on. Let me get this thing right now. Let me get it right. Subscribe. Hold on. Where my fingers at? There we go. Subscribe, like, and share my podcast, y'all, so we can grow this thing. So we can grow this thing.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much. Have a great week, and I will see you all next Wednesday at 8 o'clock.
Thank you,
Holla.
Jackie.
Bye-bye.
Bye.